it's the 10th and final episode of this season of In Bed with Jay and Josh. We did it. Well done.
We did it, Joe.
Look, we didn't really know what to expect when we decided to do a podcast, especially about the content trip that we've been doing in Bali. And there's been a few trial and errors.
There has indeed, yeah.
We actually recorded one of the episodes 3 times because we were figuring out the microphones, and it was one of our interview episodes. But I think that we've learnt a lot in this journey together.
We've learned so much.
We hope that we can do it again and again on every other content trip that we go on. I think we've learned a lot about each other, about ourselves, and kind of tested our, built new skills and really tested our ability to be able to do something like this.
Yeah, we have had to learn so much on this trip because, we knew we were gonna do the podcast. We both bought new cameras, which are extremely difficult to use, with no prior training. Proper professional cameras, we had to learn to use the mics, which has been very trial and error, hence why we had to re-record a few podcasts. So much technical stuff to learn. And got a new laptop, learning to do that, learning to transfer everything over, learning to set up the audio of the mics. And it's just been mind-boggling.
For all of us, including the people that we've interviewed, a lot of the people that we've interviewed have never done an interview like that before either.
Yeah.
We've never really been people that have interviewed other people either. So not only
I was interrogating them.
Not only have we been doing our collabs for OnlyFans, we've been filming a documentary that will be out this year. Photo shoots, 10 episodes of this podcast in the space of 16 days or something. We've been working really hard. And we hope that it not only provides a different side to us and the creators that we've invited on this trip, but also give you guys an insider look into what it's like being an OnlyFans creator behind the scenes.
Yeah. I think people are going to be really interested to see kind of everything behind the scenes.
I hope so.
And we do have a laugh, so it's going to be quite funny.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It hasn't, yes, we've been working hard, but I enjoy that. I enjoy doing these projects. I think that after doing OnlyFans for a little while now, it's been really good to be able to put this show together and really provide a different perspective on what we do. I really appreciate the guests that have been on the show and have been able to be vulnerable with us and share their stories, because we've chosen guests that have a different experience to us in the industry as well.
Yeah.
Just to highlight a different perspective. And we look forward to interviewing more people on the next season and shedding more light on the industry.
Yeah, talking shit together.
Yeah. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about my experience and things that I may not have expected about you before I met you, that might surprise other people.
Go in hard, why don't you?
I just think that you have a very tough persona online.
Yeah.
And you're actually a lot more warm, gentle, and generous than people might not expect.
Yeah.
You're very funny. Even watching back these episodes and things like that, you're hilarious. And I think that that's not shown enough to the public.
My comedic talents.
Yeah, you're pretty funny. I think even just our relationship has really grown, especially even on this trip, and every trip it really grows more and more and more.
Yeah.
So I've fallen in love with you even more and really respect you as a person, as a creator, as a business person. And it's been really great to have a partner in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so nice to have someone to share the burden with, and and really kind of have some dreams to focus on with someone else, for sure. Because it can get quite lonely in the industry, so it's nice to have a kind of a business partner, a great friendship, just to kind of bounce off of and bounce ideas off of. Before this trip, I loved calling you and being oh my God, I have this idea and this idea and this idea. It's great. And it's great to not always have that in your own head, and kind of just to be able to, go back and forth with someone about that. And I think when I first met you, I thought you were a giant bitch.
Did you?
I did, yeah. No, I don't know, a lot of people I think a lot of people think that about me as well. But like your online persona, I mean, you've got resting bitch face for one. Yeah, I just know, I just, you just assume from people's appearance, from their videos, whatever, you kind of just get some sort of preconceived conception in your head.
I do get that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the resting bitch face.
I should try to smile in all my photos.
No, I think people can never, ever take anyone for face value. I mean, the old saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. And people really only see our covers and that's it. They don't really see the person behind it too much. Which that's what we're trying to show in all the work we're doing now. We're trying to show the people behind it. But yeah, I did think you were like, bit up yourself. But as I got to know you, like you're such a caregiver, you're such a like, you're such a, I was saying like a role model, you're a kind of, a matriarch, you're very like, motherly or fatherly or whatever, and you take control of situations and you really kind of guide people.
Yeah.
And that I find really, comforting for me because sometimes I need that for sure. Yeah,
Thanks,
and you're such
babe.
a sweetheart. Yeah. And do you know what? I didn't realize how funny you'd be and how much fucking banter we have because we are literally all day just saying random shit and just laughing at each other. And I think that for me on a trip is just everything, just to have those little moments each day or fucking every hour where we just fucking belly laugh,
Getting dressed up in silly outfits and taking the piss out of each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's what friendship is, right? Like you support each other with all of your crazy ideas. Like this was a very crazy idea to be able to do this. And I've got countless lists and notes of different business ideas, different podcast ideas, show ideas, like
and I just turn up.
like discussion topics, like everything. And it's not fun doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
It's fun when you have someone like Josh that you can really partner with and drive it together because like I don't want to be the one that's having to drive stuff all the time. And it's been really fun to work with you throughout this fortnight or whatever it's been, especially. And I look forward to continuing it.
And to be fair, I think we do work as hard as each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think like when you're having a bad day or if maybe you're not like feeling the best, like I can kind of like take the lead on stuff and vice versa. Like we're able to really just share the responsibility.
Literally,
equally.
when I'm having a bad day, you'll take the load.
I'll take a few loads.
A few.
But it has been a lot of work behind the scenes, but I think it's going to pay off and I'm really excited to be able to put it out in the world and see what happens. And it is scary, but I think we've got each other to kind of carry it through and it makes it's comforting to know that we've got each other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I have my low days sometimes, so it's nice to have someone to
I got you, babe.
Help pick me up.
Sorry to interrupt this gorgeous episode, but I couldn't help but say that posting nudes isn't a business strategy, but the ofbizschool.com is. The ofbizschool.com teaches you exactly how to turn your OnlyFans into a money-making machine. Marketing, branding, content strategy, make sense, and dollars. Sign up to the ofbizschool.com, follow the steps, and let's just say OnlyFans will be paying your rent. So if you want to stop struggling and start thriving, go to the ofbizschool.com. Trust me, your bank account will thank you. Now back to the episode.
So what are some things that people might not expect from Josh Moore?
Oh, I mean, there's some things I think people would never even imagine that I've done. Like, I think people just see you as one thing online and then they just they don't think of anything else. But I used to be a rower and I actually have a world record for rowing the English Channel.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
fastest
cool.
crossing of the English Channel in a coxball rowing boat.
You are very athletic, actually.
Yeah, I was
like you're in a rugby team now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on a gay rugby team,
Yeah.
and we fucking dominate like all the leagues in London. Like we are one of the best gay touch rugby teams in the whole of the UK.
That's impressive.
Yeah, very sporty-spice.
Sporty-spice.
Yeah, so I have a world record, and I think that still stands. I don't think anyone's beaten it yet.
Cool.
Which is amazing. I think I was like 13 or something. But yeah, I was a very sporty kid. My mum and dad was like, they have 4 kids, so they were just like, right, we need to get them doing something.
Yeah.
So
Get you out of the house.
yeah, so it was like we were swimming twice. We were swimming 3 times a week. We would do like Tuesday mornings before school. That was fucking awful. And then we'd do Thursday nights, and then Saturdays we'd do swimming galas. And then we went into rowing, like while swimming as well. And we would do rowing regattas every weekend. We were never not doing something. We were such a sporty family. But yeah,
That's cool.
What's something people would not know about you?
I don't think people would expect that I was in the army after school for 3 years.
Fuck off. You were in the army.
I was in the army, yeah, in the Australian Army.
Hot.
And I didn't really appreciate what the army did for me until probably I was around 28 or later in my 20s. But the army really teaches you like perseverance, resilience, like determination. And it also teaches you that you don't, like you can be alone and you can be self-sufficient, and you shouldn't, you should be able to work in a team, but you're also on your own at the same time. Like you should be able to be completely self-sufficient. And I always found that going into, you know, the civilian world after I left, and being able to be completely independent and move into Sydney by myself and really like start my life there really taught me that I was able to leverage that experience and also integrate that within the relationships that I have. And I think that, like you said, I'm able to kind of like bring people together and take the lead and like make it happen and all that kind of stuff. And I really think that that has come from being in the army and kind of like having that toughness to just like get on with it.
Very tough.
Yeah, well, one of the things that they teach you in the army, which is like funny enough, like it teaches you like if you're not going to die, or if you're not dying, then you just keep going.
Oh my God, that's where I go wrong, because every situation I think I'm like, I'm going to die.
And I really kind of like remind myself of that when I get into situations. I'm like, okay, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, you might have anxiety, but are you dying?
Yeah.
Are you going to die? No. So just go. Just like
That's
get on
what
with
I
it.
needed every time I went to the toilet in that jungle.
Yeah, with the mosquitoes.
Listen, you're not going to die. Just go for a shit. You're going to live through this.
Yeah.
But were you out when you was in the army?
Yeah, well, I came out, I was in the army. I was closeted for the first like 6 months while I did training because I was very young.
Yeah.
And I really needed to get out into the, you know, the big wide world and discover who I was and be in my own apartment and feel like I was away from my schoolmates and away from my family to really understand, am I gay? Am I not? Like, is this how I'm feeling? And to really just live as an independent adult before I made that decision for myself. And I actually came out when I was going home the first trip after I joined the army. And I sat in the car with my mom, and it was the last day that I was home before I had to go back. And I remember saying to her, I've got something I need to tell you. And I actually couldn't get the words out. I just started crying. So I just was like, I've got something to tell you. And it kind of went silent for a bit. And she was like, are you trying to tell me that you're gay? And I was like, yeah, it's good.
She was like, is it?
Exactly. And I mean, like, I've always had that. I've always been different. I think we all have been a bit different from the other, you know, siblings, family, cousins, whatever. I always loved doing my sister's hair. She was like my little Barbie doll growing up.
Oh my God, I was the same with my sister. We would play Barbies all the time.
Exactly.
I don't know why. I'd rip all their clothes off and then just use leaves.
Yeah.
And like make them like a proper leaf.
My mum was always like, oh, you should be a hairdresser. You're so good at doing braids and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm going to go in the army and be a man.
Gonna go in the army and suck some dick.
Yeah, exactly. And like my first gay experience with a guy in the army, that was this gorgeous man in the regiment that I was working in. And yeah, so I wanted to tell her because it's something that you think about every single day before you come out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand is when we grow up as gay men, we don't get to fully form our personalities. We don't get to express ourselves, and we don't get to be the people we are. I think when you grow up as a heterosexual, you just are who you are, and that's who you project to the world, and that's how your personality forms. And I don't think gay men's personalities or their growth is kind of stunted a bit because there's always, you always have to think about what you're going to say, what you're going to do, how you're going to act. So it just stunts that growth of like personal kind of freedom and personality, and it really stops you from coming into your own. So I just felt like when I was younger, I came out at 17, and it kind of feels like you have to catch up.
Yeah.
And that inner child that you had then has to kind of fully formed the personality from that age. So it's like you're born again and you're trying to find yourself. And I found that was very difficult. And I find that's why a lot of gay men kind of, you know,
have anxiety issues, have mental health issues.
or like they're living their kind of childhood or whatever in their 30s.
Oh, like the whole
the
Peter Pan
lifestyle,
syndrome.
you know?
Yeah.
And they're always trying to like do all these young things. And I totally get it. And it's difficult. And especially like when I came into porn as well, it was like I created this persona, Josh Moore, and it was like I hadn't even found myself as, you know, came out at 17, went into porn at 20, hadn't even formed a full personality. So then I formed this personality within Josh Moore, and then I kind of lost my, you know, I lost Josh in the kind of, in the process of it. And like my therapist said that I never really fully formed that person, and I just put it all into Josh Moore and created this different person. So at the end of the day, I'm still trying to find myself, you know, I'm still trying to find out who I am.
Well, growing up, like having a name like Jay, I was always called Gay Jay in school.
Standard.
And to the point where I even asked my mum to get the paperwork to change my name. And funny enough, I wanted to change it to something like Bo. And I was telling Josh this story at breakfast this morning, and he was like, you would have just been...
Gay Bo.
Gay Bo.
It's even worse, Gay Bo.
And I was like, fuck, like I really didn't really think that one through. And I was like 8 years old. But the thing is, like, especially if you are bullied as a kid and you do have a name that rhymes with gay or whatever it is, it's something that it's like breathing. With every breath, you're constantly thinking about your sexuality or trying to hide your sexuality or trying to just like get through the day without being insulted or bullied.
Yeah.
And I think I really carried that through. And then it wasn't even until I joined the army where I was like, okay, now I can just like leave that behind. I can come out. And once I did come out, I didn't care who knew, you know, like there was situations where family members would say to my mum, like, isn't it great that Jay's like out and he doesn't seem to have a care in the world and he doesn't care that if anyone knows that he's gay. And my mum just said to him, you know, like Jay's going to always do what Jay wants to do. And I didn't really find that confidence until I came out.
Yeah. Yep. I've found the same thing. Like I actually got outed like when I came out. It was I was going to gay clubs like on my own at like 16 and I started getting with this guy and I didn't realize he had a boyfriend and they were older. I think they were like in their 20s or something. And one time my brother and sister was like, oh, we're going to go out. And so this gay club was it was gay, but it was like mixed.
More mixed.
Because people loved to go there because it was so fun. So my brother and sister...
I feel like every gay club these days is like mixed.
Yeah, for sure. And my brother and sister were like, oh, we're going out. And I was like, yeah, I'll come with you. And they were like, we're going to this place. And I was like... And it was only when we like got to the town that they were like, oh, we're going in this place. And I was like, fuck. I was like, everyone knows me in here. And everyone's like, oh, hi, Josh. Hi, Josh. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then I was out in the smoking area. And this fucking guy that I've been getting with, his boyfriend comes storming up to me while I'm with my brother and sister. Like, you've been fucking my boyfriend. And I was like, like my jaw just dropped. And I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to say now? But then I cried and I admitted to my brother and sister. And I went home and I said, they were like, oh, I should have said to my parents, like, should we ever sit down? And it was actually really good. Like, my parents have always been so supportive. And I was like, should we have a sit-down conversation about it? And they were like, no, we don't need to sit down and talk about it. They were like, there's nothing to talk about. And at the time, I thought, I'm a bit pissed off, actually. I was like, I've been waiting fucking like 17 years for this. So I just want to sit down and have a chat about it. And they were like, no, there's nothing to talk about. You're gay. That's what it is. Doesn't change anything. And I was like...
And you're expecting this big dramatic moment.
Yeah, I think every gay guy goes through that. They build it up so much in their head and they expect this huge dramatic moment where your parents disown you. And I was actually quite disappointed. Not that they didn't disown me, but we didn't have like a big, huge kind of moment, you know? But in actual fact, I look back on it and I'm like, it was the perfect way for them to react because they didn't even react. They were like, you are, that's it. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, and look, not everyone has that experience. And I've been blessed that my family have been very supportive of me. And it wasn't ever a concern of mine that my family would ever disown me or not accept me because I was gay. And I think that at the end of the day, my family, as long as I'm happy and I'm living a good life and I'm not doing anything illegal, like I think that doing this job in OnlyFans has probably been received very well. But that was probably, something at the time that I would never have imagined that I would be doing OnlyFans when I came out. But I've really enjoyed sharing my life and my lifestyle on social media for so many years, because when we were growing up, there wasn't anyone that we could look up to or experience like a real life gay relationship besides in a movie or in Will and Grace or something that's like not real.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the beauty of social media, and even like being an OnlyFans creator, where we're able to connect with other people that might not have a good experience like us and might want to have that connection with us or with another gay person, because not everyone lives in Sydney or in London where it's so openly acceptable to walk down the street holding your boyfriend's hand or have kiss your boyfriend in public. So I think that although we're selling sex, we're also hopefully promoting a healthy gay lifestyle where sex is accepted and it should be okay and we shouldn't be ashamed of it.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think there's so much fucking slut shaming around everywhere, and you know what?
Well, sometimes we forget that like it's only a very small percentage of the population in metropolitan areas of these countries where it is really accepted.
Yeah, and it's just such
and we just live in a bubble,
isn't it? Like it's such a natural thing to do.
Yeah,
sex is probably the most natural thing to do, and people just shit on it all the time. It's like what? Because and I think because they see us as like creators or whatever, and obviously on these trips, we create all this content. I think they just assume we're all like crazy sex addicts and we all just fuck all the time. And I think that's not necessarily true for most people. It's like we do our work and then our personal sex lives are, none of anyone's business, to be honest. But I only have sex with my boyfriend outside of my content. And so I think people just really do slut shame us. And I think some people, I'm like, just get over it. Like, go out there and have fucking sex. Like, enjoy yourself. Why are you like slut shaming other people? It literally makes no difference to your life what we're doing. If you're that bitter and jealous, go fucking do it yourself, And I think it is that type of people. And do you know what the worst thing is? Prep shaming.
There's prep shaming?
Yes, it's such a big thing right now.
Okay.
Like people are like, oh, they think that us taking prep is promoting like a dangerous sex lifestyle, and I'm like, go try fucking a load of people with condoms, and you are much more likely to contract HIV than you are when you're taking prep. And they're like, yeah, but what about all the other STIs? And I'm like, well, you're still very likely with a condom to get that shit. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like you still do oral. You do? So you're saying you do oral without a condom, right? You're still very likely to catch an STI. It's just people are so uninformed about sexual health. And I feel like that's where, we do promote kind of good lifestyles or whatever. I'm always kind of advocating for sexual health knowledge and whatever. And people just need to get more informed, because the prep shaming is such a stupid thing, because we are literally so close to eradicating HIV. I know in London we're so close, and now Trump is like banning HIV drugs in America. It's just wild, and people just need to get fucking informed. Prep is a lifesaver. And prep
should be free in every country.
Prep should be free in every country.
And available.
And just because you're not having like a crazy amount of sex doesn't mean that you can shame other people for taking prep, or also doesn't mean that you shouldn't take prep.
I think as gay men, we forget what we've experienced and what we've had to go through to get to this point as well.
Yeah.
Like imagine having to live through the AIDS epidemic. Imagine having to be bullied and arrested and murdered for being gay.
Yeah.
Like we are so fucking lucky to live in 2025. Yeah, there's stuff that happens and we're not there yet completely. I acknowledge that, but we are also so fucking lucky to be able to be gay men living in the current times.
Absolutely.
Where we can do what we do as creators, but we can also live as gay men and not be arrested, not be have any risk of HIV because we have drugs we have PrEP available to us.
For sure. I think like young people these days, right? The younger generation of gays below us, they do not know a thing about like the history, right? And I think we were probably the last generation that grew up with that existential threat on the outside of like, I remember being like 18, 19, working in a bar. And at the time I was so uninformed about HIV and it was such a terrifying thing. PrEP wasn't around. And it was you still felt the remnants of the AIDS crisis. You still felt it in the air and people talking about it. And there was a guy, obviously I was very young, I was very uninformed. There was a guy who was open with his HIV who worked for the same bar that I worked for. And when he would talk about it, like I was fucking terrified. And I was so uninformed that I was terrified. I was scared to be near him. And that just, to me now, that seems so silly and stupid, but I think that's like a lot of young gays nowadays, they don't get the same fear of that instilled in them, and they don't also learn their history. And I think
and there is still risk there, so they need to be educating themselves.
Yeah, I think they just think it doesn't exist really.
And look, if you do have HIV, like you can manage it, obviously, and it's not something that you need to think as a death sentence. And like people that do have HIV that are listening, it's not something that we're trying to say is like the worst thing in the world to get. It's just something that there was obviously such a high risk of getting it in the generations before us. And we're able to really manage it properly now to prevent it and to live with it.
Yeah.
So I guess like that is something to be grateful for too.
Yeah, I've had 2 boyfriends back in the past that had HIV and it was such a learning curve for me. It was learning to like just accept it as normal. You know, I'm on PrEP, they're on antiretroviral medication, they're undetectable. There's literally less chance of like contracting HIV than it would be sleeping with a stranger, sleeping with someone who's undetectable.
And I find that the people that are scared about it are the ones that don't get tested, that aren't educating themselves on it, and that aren't taking medication to be able to prevent it.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be scary these days. Like we have all of the medicine and technology available to us to be able to manage it and prevent it. So you need to go online. We've got all the information right at our fingertips these days. When I first came out, like my mum's biggest concern was health.
Yeah.
Because all of our parents' generation, the epidemic was happening then. So like it was all over the media. There was the what's the devil death thing with the pitchfork?
Yeah, the devil, Satan.
No, the guy that wears the big cloak and it's like come and take you.
Oh, the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper.
Yes.
You know, the Grim Reaper was all over the television, all over, you know, posters and stuff like that. And that was like the symbol for HIV. So it is scary and it was scary, but it shouldn't be scary anymore.
No.
Like you need to do your research. You need to understand what the percentages are if you bottom with protection, without protection. What are the percentages of contracting it? If you're topping, if you're circumcised, like there's all this information and data available to you. So then you can really just be rest assured of your risk.
Yeah. And I think knowledge is power. And also I think the biggest enemy of like good sexual health is shame. That's the thing, shame and fear.
And the stigma.
If you're so ashamed of like sexual health and you're projecting that and being bitter about it on other people, you're clearly not very informed. So go and get yourself informed, educated, and then, you know, make decisions for yourself. Don't make decisions for other people. You don't know about anyone else's sexual health and you don't know what they do to protect themselves. So don't project your shame on other people. And do you know what I would say, right? So I couldn't imagine the older generation, the people who've survived the AIDS crisis, right? Imagine them looking at the younger generation of gays now, shaming people for taking PrEP. They'd be like, you fucking joking. We would have killed to have PrEP in our day.
And they were killed because of not having it.
People were dying. All their friends died. And there's people shaming us, our generation, the generation they fought for, and the generation that, you know, died so that we could, you know, that we could have PrEP today. And then the younger generation shaming us for taking that. It's just, it's really wild to me.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I think that when it comes to, like, if you look back at the amount of people that died in that epidemic, could you imagine how more advanced our community would have been if they had PrEP? Like, there was some of the most successful artists, business people, owners of brands, and many of them were misdiagnosed because they didn't want the stigma of the HIV disease to be attached to their legacy too. So there's probably many more that died that didn't have that HIV thing attached to them, and they just blamed it on a heart attack or something, you know?
Yeah, I think we lost so many amazing people.
And as creators, like, you need to protect yourselves. You need to make sure that you're on everything that you can to be able to make sure that you are healthy and that you can sustain your career and that you aren't at risk. Like, that's what we're trying to promote with also doing the film and the podcast, is that we are humans as well, and we do take care of ourselves, and we also promote positive, great sexual health practices.
Exactamundo. Test.
So when I first left my job in 2023 and started doing OnlyFans full time, it was obviously very scary, but at the same time, I wanted to live my life completely uninhibited by a 9-to-5 job and really just test myself for the first time in my life, being able to just live through social media, live off social media, but also being able to travel, fall in love, like meet people like yourself and meet other creators and really just find my little tribe. Because I did feel like when I was in Sydney, although I have many amazing friends there and colleagues that I used to work with, I was needing something new. I was needing something fresh. I was needing a new challenge. And for me personally, like, I'd already built this established career, but the thing I love about doing OnlyFans now is that I was essentially starting from scratch in 2023. I did have an account in 2020, so I have been doing it for 2 years now, but I ended up canceling that account, like 2 years after I started it, and then started a new one in 2023. And I really enjoyed starting something from the ground up. And that, for me, that challenge has kept like the fuel going again. And I think like a lot of people can probably relate that life's all about like the journey, and a lot of people that have made it and are successful are unhappy and depressed. And I think that I try to preach to other friends that are maybe at a different stage in life or a different stage in their career, whether it's a 9-to-5 job or within OnlyFans, and they look at maybe like people like, or creators like you and I, and they think like, oh, why aren't I there yet? Why aren't I earning the figures that we're earning, or whatever it may be? But I just think like that's a part of the fun, is like the building aspect of it, and being able to really just try something new and challenge yourself and meet other people and get inspiration from them too. Like, there's been people on this trip that I've been inspired by that are doing something different to me, not necessarily something that I want to do myself, but it's also just giving me inspiration, or maybe I can implement other things into what I'm doing to improve my business. And that happens in every single trip, and everyone that I meet, I'm always getting inspired by. So I just think I'm able to, at the moment and in the current stage of my career, I'm really enjoying building and establishing a new version of my life and building that new aspect.
Yeah, I think like for me, the freedom that OnlyFans has given me a lot of freedom to kind of find who I am and go on this journey of like discovering myself, really. It gives you a lot of time to really go in depth. And I think working, a 9-to-5, I think doesn't give you much time to reflect. And I think this does. There's a lot of time to sit with yourself and really learn who you are. And I think also coming together with like-minded people, you really get to kind of discover through other people as well who you are. And I've really loved that journey. And I've been, I think in the last year, or well, actually probably since Christmas, I know it's not been long, but like really, really in depth, like deeply, like finding myself. Like I've become sober. And realizing I had a problem. It wasn't like a huge problem, but realizing just that it's affecting my day to day. And then becoming sober and also learning to enjoy life without the crutch of like alcohol and drugs is a fucking eye opener. And it made me learn that I'm actually really fun without it. And I actually have a really good time without it. It took me a while to find my flow, but now I'm feeling great and feeling good. Like, you know, everyone's drinking tequila and having like a fun time. And I'm just like, yeah. And
Yeah, you're keeping up regardless of whether you're sober or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm just feeding off everyone else's energy, and it's kind of amazing to realize that for sure. And OnlyFans as a business is kind of my favorite thing to do. Making the content, meeting all the people, the freedom, the travel. It's so inspiring to me, and it's so freeing, and it just frees up so much time and space for you to kind of focus on other projects as well. Like, we're business women. We're working on lots of different projects at the same time. I have my brand Flawless for Men. You can check them out on Amazon. Fiber supplements for all you bottoms out there, or just anyone who needs some good fiber in their diet. And I'm focusing on a few other brands which are going to come out soon. So it gives you a lot of time to really hone in on what you enjoy, what your business is, what you want, the dreams that you have. You know, it's great.
Yeah, 2 years ago when I started traveling, I just gave myself a year to be able to really just exactly what you said, just rediscover what I want, what I enjoy about life, what the next stage of my life is going to look like. And I didn't really save much money. I didn't really care about, you know, business projects at the time. I just really wanted to relax and to give myself that year just to really understand what I want to do next with myself. And last year I started developing a few different businesses because I wanted to just really have a few in development. And this year I'll be like launching those businesses over the next 6 months. I'm going to Thailand after this trip to do a meeting with the manufacturer there.
Big meeting.
A business meeting. And that's the thing, like OnlyFans gives you a lot of time, free time, and I don't ever want to waste that or become complacent. And I think I can imagine that other creators might find themselves getting a bit bored or complacent because we do have so much free time. And I think that I want to encourage other people to really invest in what their future holds and not put all their eggs in the OnlyFans basket.
I mean, I've done that before. I did it for a long time. So now...
Well, it would be easy because like you don't have the boss telling you that you need to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Thank God.
You know, you need to really just have your own schedule and to set your own pace. And you need to be able to invest that money that you're getting from OnlyFans to be able to put it into other areas so you can make sure that it is sustainable for the future. So that's what we're both working on now, to be able to make sure that we continue living this lifestyle. And if we don't want to do OnlyFans forever, hopefully we won't have to, but we'll have other things that we can provide that financial security too.
But that it also does annoy me when people say to me, I was like, oh, you know, you have an expiration date. Like, what are you going to do afterwards?
I don't believe in that.
I'm like, fuck off. I'll be working until nobody wants to see my dusty old ass ever again. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think about it this way. It's like we're investing so much time and energy into OnlyFans, which is a business. It's our own business.
Yeah.
And it's like anyone else that has their own business would realize that why would I walk away from something that's making me money?
Yeah.
You know? So I just think that there's no expiration date, regardless of how old you are. There's a niche for daddies. There's a niche for granddaddies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we did want to do it until we're old and decrepit, like we fucking will.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I'm going to see you in 2060 with my Zimmer getting railed.
Yeah. Over your Zimmer frame.
Yeah.
In your wheelchair. Yeah. So I just think like there's not an expiration date on this career, but for me, it's just like I'm a little bit ADHD when it comes to I need like a few things on the go at once. I don't want to just be focusing on OnlyFans. I don't want to just be focusing on one project at one time. I've got a few different things that I'm working on, and I don't take that for granted, and I don't want to be complacent with that opportunity because it's not something that that everyone wants to do, and it's not something that anyone can do.
No.
So I'm just taking that as a blessing and making sure that I'm making the most of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to diversify your income. So for us creators, we have a lot of time to do that. So diversifying with different businesses is perfect for us. We've got a lot of time, we've got a lot of inspiration, and yeah, we've got the means to do it. So that's what we're going to fucking do. And you're going to buy our products.
But I've found that chatting to other creators, like everyone's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to do something else with their brand. Everyone wants to be able to help each other. Even on this trip, there's been other creators that want to join in on what I'm doing, on what you're doing. And because we are able to help each other and we do have the time and the resources, I found that that's been a really good network to be able to leverage in business.
Yeah, for sure.
So where are we going to go next, babe?
Where are we going to go next? I don't know. Let's check out a few ideas. Maybe Mykonos.
Maybe Mykonos, maybe... I mean, I wanted to go to Fire Island.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
You don't want to go to Fire Island.
It's all party.
We both agreed on Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia, I think.
I've never been to Colombia. You've been there once.
I went to Medellin for a content trip and oh my God, it was glorious.
Yeah.
Such a nice vibe.
Colombia's always been somewhere that's been on top of my list. So hopefully we'll make that work in the next few months.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to record a new season there.
New season.
Thank you so much for listening to our voices for this long.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far.
You're a fucking trooper because I wouldn't want to do it.
We thank all of our guests and everyone that's been helping us along the way.
Yeah.
And we look forward to rolling out a new season this year, hopefully.
Yes, thank
Stay
you for
tuned.
watching. It's been In Bed with Jay and Josh. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.